Hi, Ross here for First Line Distribution, and today we're going to look at the Mad Professor Super Black. One of, if not the most recorded amp in history, is the Fender Blackface Deluxe Reverb, and for good reason. There are so many tones that amp can produce. If you have that and just a few choice pedals, you're pretty much set for anything that you could ever need to do. So when Mad Professor set out to recreate that legendary tone in pedal format, it had to be equally as versatile and just as dynamic. The Mad Professor Super Black delivers that and so much more. At first glance, you see the familiar sight and layout of a guitar pedal. Switches, knobs, the usual affair. But what you actually get with the Super Black is a box full of classic tones. Anything you've heard a Blackface amp do, this will do too. From shimmering clean to raw rock tone, all is accessible with a turn of a few knobs. In addition to this, you also have one of Mad Professor's best-selling pedals, the Sweet Honey Overdrive, built in. This can be used on its own or to boost the, shall we say, amp-in-a-box side. One of the many great things about the Super Black is you can basically add 2 extra channels to your amp and completely transform it. So let's say you've got something British flavored and you want that kind of clean, shimmery Blackface tone, you can absolutely do that. Add in the Sweet Honey Overdrive and you've got 3 great tones at your feet right there. Or if you already have a Blackface style amp and you want to get a more cranked version of that, the Super Black can do that, kick in the Sweet Honey and you get into lead territory. Really, really cool. The controls on the Blackface side are what you would expect to see from an amp. Volume controls your main output, gain controls the amount of overdrive you're getting, bass, middle and treble control those frequencies and are interactive with the gain control. For example, with higher gain settings, you might want to lower the bass control and add some mids or treble to tighten things up, depending on what amp you're running into. Presence controls the super high-end frequencies and can be used as a final brightness control when you have your sound pretty much dialed in. For the Sweet Honey Overdrive side, you have 2 simple controls, volume and gain. With the gain low and the volume up, it works great as a clean boost with a little character. With the gain up and the volume low, you can hear where the circuit got its name from. Really, really sweet and really, really smooth. There are 2 other very useful controls operated by switches. Bass cut shaves off some of the low end, which is really handy if you have a particularly bass heavy amp. Left is full bass and right is cut bass. The other is compression. To the left adds a subtle natural compression like a tube amp power stage working hard. To the right you have less compression and maximum dynamics, and the pedal also has a bit more clarity in this setting. So that's a lot of talking so far. Let's plug it in and listen to some sounds. So you can hear it really does react like a cranked Blackface into that style of amp and can completely transform a British flavoured amp. Going into the front of the amp is exactly what you would expect most drive or amp-in-a-box pedals to do, but the Super Black has another trick up its sleeve. You can actually put this into a power amp or an effects loop return and use it as a preamp. You can also send it to an IR loader and go direct to desk for recording or live use. It works amazingly well in all of these scenarios, so let's have a listen to how it sounds running straight into an IR of a deluxe reverb cab, and I've added some plate reverb in post for a little ambience. So there you have it, those classic and familiar Blackface tones in pretty much any scenario you can find yourself in, and with the addition of the Sweet Honey Overdrive built in, you have quite a remarkable pedal. Thanks so much for watching this video on the Mad Professor Super Black. Go and check one out today, and we'll see you again. Cheers.